This video is about unsupervised machine learning. In last video, you learned about supervised machine learning. In supervised machine learning, along with data, we are providing label also. So that's why this learning is under supervision. So example is shown here. The student is learning under supervision of teacher. So supervised learning is like this only because we are providing a input as well as output, means label for that particular data. But unsupervised learning is different than supervised learning. Here it is like a self-study. So unsupervised machine learning does not need supervision. It finds pattern from the data by its own. So it is like a self-study. Through this diagram, you can understand how unsupervised machine learning algorithm works. So here we want to classify or we want to group a similar objects together in a one group. So here raw data is given. The data is unlabeled data. We are just providing the inputs to algorithm. So this algorithm first step is interpretation. So this algorithm has to find the patterns from this raw input data. And using these patterns, this algorithm will group this input data into a different groups. So that is shown here. Similar patterns are grouped in one group. Here this algorithm divides data objects into group as per their similarities and differences. So since these atoms are similar, they are grouped in one group, and there is a difference in pattern between this brinjal and this onion. So they are placed in the different groups. So the important thing is in unsupervised learning, the algorithm find the structure or pattern from the input data by its own. There is no supervision and input is only a raw data. There is no labels given along with the input data. This unsupervised machine learning is much similar to how human learns. We learns from the experience. So same in the same way, this unsupervised learning learns from its experience. Types of unsupervised machine learning. There are two types of unsupervised machine learning. First is clustering. So clustering is method of grouping the objects into cluster. So objects with similarities remains in one group, and the object which has a dissimilar features, they will be grouped into other groups. So that is a clustering. And second is association. So an association is used for finding a relationship between variables in the data set. So for example, suppose the customer buy X atom, for example bread, then it is quite usual that that customer may buy butter, jam or milk atom. So this is association. So clustering, as we have seen, the clustering is dividing the data points into number of groups. Data points with similar patterns will be grouped as a one group, and dissimilar pattern data points will be grouped in the different group. So for example, suppose we are having a data and this data is plotted like this. Now this clustering algorithm will find the patterns of each of these data, and as per their similarities, they will group in a one particular cluster. So here it is shown if these points will have a color red, then they are grouped in one cluster. So this is one cluster. These points are having color yellow, so they are grouped in a second cluster. And these remaining points are having color blue, so they are clustered in a third cluster. So this data point, input data points are grouped in a three clusters as per their similarities. Here also we can see in this example, suppose input data is images of dog and cat. Then algorithm has to first find the features and it has to group the similar patterns together. So it will group dogs together and cats in another cluster. The main clustering algorithms are k-means clustering, k-nearest neighbor, principal component analysis, independent component analysis, and many more clustering algorithms are available. We'll discuss detail about this algorithm in the coming lectures. Now, what is association rule learning? So, in association, it will check the dependency of one data atom with the other atom, and it will map accordingly so that it can be more profitable. So, for example, market basket analysis. Here we can see in this diagram also, if customer 1 is buying bread, it may also buy milk or butter. If customer 2 is buying milk, bread, cereals, butter together, customer 3 is buying milk, bread, and butter. So we can associate one atom with corresponding atoms. We can take example of supermarket where atoms are grouped together which are having association with each other. For example, all fruits will be grouped together and placed in one rack. Maybe milk, bread, cheese, paneer will be stored in one rack separately. The grocery atom, all pulses will be stored in one rack. So atoms which has association with each other are grouped together. That is called the association. Advantages of unsupervised learning: it is used for complex tasks as compared to supervised learning, because in unsupervised learning we are not providing a labeled data, and its main advantage is that in real world example we don't have a labeled data for all input data, so you can use their unsupervised learning. Disadvantages of unsupervised learning: this algorithm is more difficult than supervised learning because we are not providing a labels along with the input data, so it has to learn by itself. So result of unsupervised learning algorithm might be less accurate since we are not providing a labeled data. So this is about unsupervised learning. Thank you for watching this video.